So recently I've implemented this little trick within my live shows that I thought were just run of the mill, like, you know, everyone did them. It was kind of this like unspoken thing. However, it wasn't until I had a couple conversations at NAMM and then a couple conversations from my trip in the UK straight after, and even coming back to do a tour with Unprocessed, there were conversations within that time where I started to realize, oh, maybe this isn't as commonplace as I thought it was. Specifically, the one that got me the most was Mike Stringer. Me and Mike had lunch in London and I mentioned this to him and he was kind of like, oh, I haven't heard of that before. And I think that was the exact moment where I was like, maybe I should make a video on this and kind of just put it out into the world just before it kind of comes from anywhere else. I'll give you a little bit of backstory as how this problem came to be fixed and you know, how I kind of came across it in the first place, because I feel like it's really good context as to what you're about to see in this video. Before we get into it though, this video is sponsored by me. There is no sponsor for this video, but if you guys see anything in this video that you think is useful and that you will use in your own bands and your own life situations, which I'm pretty sure you will, definitely hit subscribe, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and check out the web store for any tab stems merch and all that good stuff. There's all different ways to support the channel in the description below. So I use my Quad Cortex Live. You can't see it, but it's sitting on the desk next to me. The one problem that I was having, especially being a one guitarist band, was that I needed a lot of scenes for a lot of different gain and gate settings. Usually within one song and even within one section of a song, there are many different gate settings that I need, whether it be a super open gate, a really tight gate, or kind of just an all-rounder gate where it kind of just catches everything the way that I usually want it to. And then on top of that, I would often have a gate dedicated on scene H, the last scene within the Quad Cortex, to be completely off. Nothing gets past the gate. It's pretty much just a mute patch. So with that, I've already used up 4 of my 8 scenes. Half the scenes are already gone just on high gain gate patches. This got me by for a little while, but it wasn't until I started implementing more songs in the set from future records that are coming out very soon that this started not to be as reliable as it once was, because the changes were happening much quicker. It was sometimes happening within notes of a certain riff, and the MIDI just couldn't talk to the Quad Cortex quick enough. It wouldn't be able to switch the scenes quick enough for it to actually work. And on top of that, I was using more tones, more effects, more sound designy things within the song that I needed to play live that I just didn't have enough room for in the scenes because I've already used up half of them. So I thought to myself, like, what's a good way to kind of make this all happen at once without needing to dedicate this amount of scenes to just having different gate settings across a song? And the way that I got around that, and the whole purpose of this video, is to tell you guys about MIDI expression programming and how I assign that to the gate threshold within my Quad Cortex. So right now I have a Reaper session loaded up. This is similar to like the live session that I would use when playing live, and I've also got the Cortex Control app open as well. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the philosophy behind it, how it all works, and how you can then implement it within your own songs. So I have 3 lanes of MIDI here. I've got my guitar MIDI, I've got my whammy MIDI, which is expression pedal MIDI as well, and I have my volume/gate MIDI. Most of the time it's gate, but there are certain songs and certain sections where I use this same expression as a volume control. But for now, let's just think of it as the gate threshold MIDI. The cool thing about the Quad Cortex and pretty much any other major modeler that you use, whether that be Axe FX or Kemper or whatever, is that there should be dedicated MIDI lines for expression pedals. And what that means is that you can basically control a virtual foot to move around via MIDI. On most of my patches, as you can see here, when I click assign expression pedal 1 is dedicated to a pitch shifter block, and expression pedal 2 is dedicated to the utility gate, like I mentioned, and the threshold control of that, and I'm using the full range of that utility gate. But what that means is that when I go to program this expression MIDI as the gate threshold, you can see here that when it's down, it means that the gate is more open, and when it's all the way up, it means that it is pretty much shut off and closed. And as you can see here, a lot of this song in particular has the gate set really high for specific sections, almost from like a sound designy tremolo staccato kind of perspective, where you can see that the intervals between the gate being kind of down and the gate being cranked all the way up is very short. So basically, as I play through a riff and as I need there to be dead space within a riff, if it's a super staccato riff, like, I don't know, like bam, like any single one of those dead spaces are just going to be clamped shut. You're not going to hear anything. If I was to ring my guitar out, the gate would sound exactly like that because it's opening and closing with the song. So I'm gonna play through 2 examples with you guys, just a short snippet from this track in particular for this section that you can see here, which is like super staccato and lots of stuff being cut out. I'm gonna play it once without the expression MIDI being used on the gate, so it's just gonna be a fixed gate value, probably around like -50 or something like that, which is what I would typically set it at. And what you should hear is that no matter how clean I play it, no matter how much I right hand and left hand mute at the same time for certain parts, there's just some things that I cannot avoid from a noise perspective. But when I turn it on the second example, you notice that it sounds super duper clean, and I'm not playing it any differently. This is a one take across both examples. Again, it should just be elevating what I'm already doing on the fretboard. Before you guys lose your heads and, call this cheating and all this stuff, I don't really think of this as cheating. This is no different from like recording a riff in a DAW and then cutting up the DI and cutting up any dead spaces within a DI, because that is what you do, especially these days. That is what everyone is doing. I'll be the first to admit that I do that. You guys hear that in everything that I make. It's very, very processed in that way. However, I do consider myself clean enough of a player where I can play this live, and if I wasn't telling you in this video, you probably wouldn't know any different. This is mainly just to get things clean and make things clean that are simply just impossible to make clean live. Especially when you introduce playing through a super loud PA, introducing noise through your pickups, noisy stage, noisy power. There's just some things that you can't keep under control. However, doing this means that you can have all the control in the world to the best of your ability, so that no matter what you do, no matter what you play for that specific riff where you need it to be super, super tight and the dead spaces need to be exactly here every single time, it's gonna do that for you. And so long as you play clean and you play properly, it's not gonna make you play better. It's only gonna aid how well you're already playing. Think of it like drum triggers, right? Drum triggers are often a hot topic because a lot of people think that it's cheating, but honestly, it's the complete opposite, because with drum triggers, there is no hiding behind it. If you hit an offbeat kick with a full velocity drum trigger, it's gonna sound so bad, and it's only gonna uncover your mistakes even more. Same thing with auto-tune live. Like, again, shock horror, whether you realize it or not, all of your favorite bands are using auto-tune live. They all have a separate interface and they run into auto-tune. As it may be a shock to you if you didn't know that, chances are you didn't know that because it wasn't very obvious, because they're already singing well into the auto-tune. And that is the whole purpose. It's not gonna fix your mistakes. It's only gonna make your good parts even better. Just like backing tracks, there's a big kind of like stigma around backing tracks where people almost view it as like, it's just doing your tracks, it's doing your parts, you're not actually playing the instrument, which could not be further from the truth for 99% of cases. In modern productions, there's so many different layers, so many different things that cannot be replicated from studio to live, or just are too costly to recreate. So having that in backing tracks as layers to elevate what you're already doing and playing on the stage live is how they should be used, and how they are used 99% of the time. Just like drum triggers, just like this, just like auto-tune, it's all meant to level up what you're already doing. So there you have it, just a super quick video on MIDI expression gates. Again, this doesn't need to be just used on gates. It can be used on anything that you set your heart to. If Neural DSP is watching this video, and I hope that they are because I'm using their product in a very good light, please consider making more expression pedal MIDI inputs on the Quad Cortex. I know you guys can do it. It's only a software update. Give us like 8, give us 16. I wanna start doing reverb swells. I wanna start doing more fine whammy stuff. I wanna start doing EQ sweeps across the board. Please give us more, because that can really just elevate our performances even more. Again, if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing and sharing it around with your friends if they play in bands. And let me know if you guys are gonna use this in your band now. All ways that you can support the channel are down in the description below. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao.